Everybody knows this movie's a pile of shit. Everybody knows this movie is a disaster. Everybody knows why this movie's a failure. Everybody knows what Warner Bros. And Joss Whedon did. Cause everybody knows, everybody knows how offensively bad this movie is. Why'd I have to put myself through hell again? Hey guys, this is Frozen Things Stews here, and welcome back to another review as part of my DCEU review marathon leading up to Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So before I get into this, I just wanted to talk about a few disclaimers about all of this. This review right here and the next review that I'll be doing is my reviews of multiple DCU movies. Because let's be real here, life has been busy lately. I mean, I think we all have that time when we don't get to do the content that we were initially planning because of our busy lives, and that's basically me. I've been busy lately mainly because I'm preparing for a big trip to the US, which I'm leaving tomorrow morning, I guess, morning or afternoon, whatever you want to call it. So basically that. So I've been busy packing my things. I had to book a flight, book a U.S. flight, but mostly a domestic flight from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. I'm gonna make a video about announcing about my vacation, all that stuff. If you follow me on Instagram, I made a post about my vacation plans, and yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow, so yeah, you can go check it out. But yeah, I won't have time. I won't be able to do much videos in the US, so I'm gonna try and put out the best that I can. But when it comes to my content, so yeah, but it's not gonna stop me from doing this. I still have time to catch up because I will just say right now that I'm gonna be watching Aquaman Lost Kingdom later than you expect. How late? I'll be watching the movie on its second opening weekend. Why second opening weekend, you may ask? Well, it's because I'll explain in my vacation video. My video talking about my vacation. But I'll just say it has something to do with another movie I'll be watching in the US and all that stuff. So yeah. But anyways, let's get on with the review, shall we? So today I'm going to be reviewing Justice League. But not just Justice League, but I'm going to be reviewing both Justice League movies in one video. Yeah, both Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League. Oh boy. Now let's get into my review of Justice League, which is gonna be a rant, as you all know, because let's be real here, who the hell likes this movie? Well, I'm not judging you, Harry Thomas. I know you like this movie, but don't worry, I totally accept your opinion. But seriously, you all knew this was gonna be a rant. This is obviously a rant video, and I mean, oh boy, let's get into this. Justice League came out in the year 2017 and is directed by Zack Snyder. Directed by Joss Whedon, the same director who made the two Avengers films, and it stars Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Ezra Miller, Jason Momoa, Ray Fisher, Amy Adams, Jeremy Irons, Diane Lane, Connie Nielsen, J.K. Simmons, Ciaran Hinds, Amber Turd, Joe Morton, David Thewlis, etc. And so basically the plot for Justice League, for both versions, the cast and the plot summary, it applies to both Justice League's versions, by the way. It tells a story taking place right after the events of Batman vs. Superman, where Superman, you all know that Superman died. The ending of BVS made you think that Superman is actually alive because you can see the rocks fly. But it was just a trick. But turns out Superman actually is legit dead. So basically, yeah, the world mourns for Superman. The world realizes that there is no hope. There is no hope after Superman's death, and the world has gone into madness. Criminals are criminals have more freedom to commit crimes. And the Justice League are the rest of the members are all powerless. Batman's doing all the hero stuff, but he obviously needs help. So yeah, Wonder Woman's also around saving people, I guess, because she saved the bank. She saved a bunch of people like with women and children from bank terrorists. And so yeah, so Bruce and Diana come together to build the Justice League in order to stop Steppenwolf, this evil guy evil CGI monster guy who is pretty much creating mother boxes to open a bunch of portals, I think, or whatever the hell that was. And so yeah, he steals the different mother boxes, whether from different worlds, whether it's Atlantis or Themyscira and all that stuff. And so yeah, they get the best members possible, including Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg. Yeah, so they come together to fight Steppenwolf, but they realize that Superman is their most important member of the team. Yeah, Superman is the significant member and the one who can help in defeating Steppenwolf. So what they do is they revive Superman like Frankenstein, but of course Superman kind of so yes, but yeah, Superman, gets yeah, he loses his memory. He becomes evil for a second because he doesn't remember who he is. But apparently, apparently he does remember himself now. And then he steps in to save the Justice League at the last minute. And yeah, that's basically the plot for it. So yeah, when it comes to this theatrical version of Justice League right here, everyone knows the backstory at this point. So yeah, but if you don't know the backstory about what happened with this film, if you don't know like the behind the scenes stuff in this film, well, let me tell you. So basically, Zack Snyder was already working on this film. He was doing his best to make it better than Batman vs Superman because I think we all know how polarizing Batman vs Superman was. Despite I personally enjoyed BVS myself. If you saw my review, you all know I enjoyed it. Also, Man of Steel is also polarizing. You all know how I felt about that one. I still love Man of Steel to this day. I don't care what anyone else says, but this one I hear this is pretty much Zack Snyder's biggest passion. So even though Batman vs Superman Batman vs Superman was was not well received despite all the hype. People were still hyping this up because it's a Justice League, and BVS was mostly a setup to Justice League. So yeah, people were expecting this to be really good. They were expecting this to be the big event of DC, and especially after Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was even was well received. People had high hopes for the future DCU, hoping that the DCU can fully be saved. And yeah, Zack Snyder's theatrical version of this one was initially supposed to be 2 hours and 50 minutes long, as in 50. Yeah, it was supposed to be that long and all that stuff, but then Zack Snyder's daughter Deborah Snyder committed suicide and died. So Zack Snyder had to halt production. He had to stop directing for a while in order to be with his family, and especially after his daughter's death. Yeah, rest in peace to Deborah Snyder. I feel really sorry for Snyder and his family because they would have made something really good. The trailers actually did show some promise, and it certainly got me hyped. Yeah, making this be in my top 5 most anticipated movies of 2017. But it wasn't really although it wasn't really my most anticipated superhero movie. I remember Spider-Man Homecoming, Lego Batman movie, and Logan were my most anticipated. Also, Guardians 2 was more exciting. Actually, maybe not really top 5, but I would have put this in my top 10 most anticipated movies. 2017 at that time, and yeah, but the trailer looks really good. The 4-minute Comic-Con trailer, damn, that was an amazing trailer there. I was so pumped for this one. I was more pumped for this one. I thought that this would be the better comic book movie of November 2017 than Thor Ragnarok. But yeah, But yeah, when this movie came out, people were disappointed on this. Although either they say it's either all right or outright terrible. Or although yes, I'm aware that when this movie came out, yeah, this movie did have a fan base, and they're like, hey, this movie's actually good. It's actually fun. I mean, this movie is a lot of fun. Although sadly, due to the $300 million budget, it literally became one of the biggest flops in the DCU, and I mean legit flops. But later on, the truth about this movie's behind the scenes production was exposed, and yeah, people were like, the people who didn't like this movie were like, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel Zack Snydery. But it turns out, I mean, Warner Bros. Should have like delayed this movie until Zack Snyder is ready to direct, and let Zack Snyder do everything. But what Warner Bros. Did instead is literally steal this movie, scrap everything Zack Snyder did, and make so much changes. They hired Joss Whedon, Avengers director, to direct this. I mean, Joss Whedon and Zack Snyder are like literally polar, are like very different. I mean, if you directed someone like Gareth Edwards to direct this, then I think it would have still felt like a Zack Snyder movie, because Gareth Edwards can make a movie as dark as a Zack Snyder movie. As you saw in like films like Rogue One and the creator, he can make films as grounded as Zack Snyder's. Also, no, I'm not gonna acknowledge that overrated Godzilla 2014. Screw that movie. And yeah, they were like gonna yeah. Apparently, they hired Joss Whedon, and they literally took away all the darkness, all the darkness in it, the dark tone, to make it feel very lighthearted and goofy. And what's worse is that they took away the runtime. They shortened the runtime from 2 hours and 15 minutes to 2 hours. In fact, heck, even 1 hour and 59 minutes. Technically even 1 hour and 45 minutes, 1 hour and 48 minutes, including the credits. Yeah, that's unbelievably short for a superhero team up movie like this. And yeah, once the truth was exposed, people eventually rewatched this movie with a different perspective. It gave them a different point of view of this movie, and this is now one of the most hated superhero movies of all time. Some even going as far as calling this the worst superhero movie ever. And it certainly deserves all the hate, because Justice League is an abomination. It is just pure garbage. I absolutely hate this movie with a burning passion. It is by far the worst DCU movie I have ever seen in my life, period. It is worse than Suicide Squad 2016. I mean, 40%, 39% of Rotten Tomatoes, that is way too generous. This should get the lower than 20, like I'd say 15%, heck, even 10%. Yeah, and this is without question one of the worst movies of 2017 by far. Like, I would say that this movie is honestly worse than 50 Shades Darker. Yep, I'm going that far. Now, yes, I will. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to call the DCU worse than the 50 Shades, because 50 Shades of Grey and 50 Shades Freed are just the worst. They're the worst movies of their respective years, with 50 Shades of Grey being the worst movie of 2015 and 50 Shades Freed being the worst of 2018. But I will admit that 50 Shades Darker, while it is still atrocious, I will say that it's not the worst. Unlike the first two, it is kind of tolerable to watch. I mean, it's still bad, but it's not. Honestly, I wouldn't even put it in my top 10 worst movies of 2017, because it is because of I can probably I think it's a little more watchable than the other 50 Shades movies, and that's why I think this movie is worst. Now, don't get me wrong, the Emoji Movie is still the worst movie in 2017. We can all agree on that. But Justice League is honestly the second worst movie of 2017, and the worst live action movie of And yes, the worst live action movie of 2017. Yes, I would rather watch Transformers: The Last Night over this. Transformers: The Last Night isn't even in my top 10 worst movies of 2018 list. Yeah, I can name other like even like any other live action movie you'd put among the worst. Any other movie of 2017 you'd put in your worst movies of 2017 list that isn't the Emoji Movie. Well, they're masterpieces in comparison to Justice League. The Emoji Movie is the worst for obvious reasons, but this one takes the cake for just being. Is this also? Would I say this is the worst comic book movie of all time? Well, I don't know. But it is a high contender for it. I'll have to decide on that, but right now, no. But one thing I will say, this is the fan for stick of this is the fan for stick of DC. Yeah, this is literally the DC version of fan for stick. That's how that's how bad it is. Yeah, literally. I would rather take yeah I don't know which is worse, this or Fan Force Day, but yeah, this is literally on the same levels of bad as Fan Force Stick. Yeah, literally. Now, do I even need to say what's wrong with this film? I think we all know why this movie's bad. So I'm gonna get to them as I'm gonna get to all the things that suck about this movie as briefly as possible, so we can get to the bare. So I can talk. We can get to the bare Justice League movie. First of all, this movie is incredibly rushed. I mean, this movie is basically nothing. With a 2 hour runtime, this movie doesn't feel earned at all. It feels incredibly rushed because when it comes to a team up movie like this, you're supposed to introduce characters and make us care for them. Say what you want about the Turtles being too long, but 2 hours and 37 minutes, 2 hours and 40-minute runtime is the correct runtime because you actually get time to be introduced to these characters. Like, you get to build upon this team. Despite it being slow paced, you get to build upon this team. That's what makes the Turtles work as a team movie, because I actually care about these characters because the movie took its time to build its characters. But under 2 hours long, I mean, you get nothing with this. Basically, just nothing with this. No character development whatsoever. Every single character in this movie, I mean, they're just dry as water. They're just so dry. Just nothing. No one has any character development. It's basically just, oh, I'm gonna build a team. Okay, let's go. Let's contact all of them. Be like, basically what they do is just contact, and then the heroes are just like, hey, I'm here. I'm gonna save the world, but I don't have any character development, so I'm just gonna save the world with you guys. Yeah. And my goodness, this movie, it's not even entertaining at all. Like, for a very 2 hours and for a 2 hour movie that you'd expect fast paced, right? Kind of, but honestly, it's just boring. Like, I was like just so bored watching this. Like, it's not fun at all. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. And yeah, Steppenwolf is also an underdeveloped villain because you literally know nothing about him. He's just nothing but an ugly CGI monster who comes out of nowhere and would be like, I'm a CGI monster and I'm gonna take over the world with the mother boxes. Ha ha ha. And you know what's worse about this movie? Is that literally the team, it's just, they all just basically, they don't work together as a team. Like, usually what makes a team great is that they all treat each other equally. Whether if you're stronger or not stronger, superhero teams need to be equal. They all need to treat each other equally. They all need to be equal with one another. They all need to compare each other. But this one, the Justice League members always compare each other. They always compete. Always literally compete over who's stronger, and then they'll be like, I'm stronger than you, I'm stronger than you. Like, take for example, Superman and the Flash constantly just literally compare over who's stronger. I mean, even though they have completely different powers, they like literally compare each other. I mean, Superman was able to lift the house while Flash was able to, while Flash, pushes a car while running. Yeah, you may think that that's working together, but no, they're just literally just like, oh, let's see who's stronger. Like that, and with that Justice League constantly doing that, you literally have no chemistry. You don't build about chemistry just by them competing over who's the strongest Justice League member. Wow, that is just and the acting is horrendously bad. Like the acting is horrendously bad. But one member who literally broke my heart for how bad the acting is Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Now, don't get me wrong, Gal Gadot is the best actor in the DCEU, and Wonder Woman is my favorite DCEU character. Well, tied with Anthea. And yeah, so I know, yeah, but Gal Gadot's performance in this movie, it's just laughable. Like especially with the Kal-El, no, like there's a reason people mock that line. There's a reason people make fun of her for that because I've just heard this low, because I've heard low energy just say Kal-El, no, Kal-El, no. That is literally the definition of cringe acting right there. And it's totally not Gal Gadot's fault. It's totally Warner Bros.' fault. And yes, they literally reshoot the movie to just let them have bad acting. It's pretty obvious with all of the performances in this movie that they only had one take throughout. Like, it was only one take. And yeah. And good God, this is the ugliest superhero movie I have ever seen. Maybe even the ugliest movie in general. It's embarrassing because this is a modern movie. How could a modern movie look like this? Holy crap! My goodness! Like, good lord! Like, whether it's the aspect ratio looking like an IMAX movie throughout, where it doesn't, even though it doesn't deserve to be seen in IMAX because your eyes will literally burn and you're gonna puke a lot if you're watching this in IMAX. The aspect ratio is disgusting. Why could you just keep it a normal? Why can't you just use a normal aspect ratio? Why does it need to be like a big IMAX ratio throughout? I don't get it. I don't get what reason is there for that constant use of IMAX ratio throughout the movie. And my goodness, the CGI is the worst. I don't need to say it. Whether it's Superman's lip, where they had to use CGI to remove the mustache, which cost them more than they initially, more of the budget than they initially had, or when it comes to, whatever, I don't care. I don't care. Oh yeah, also Flash is annoying. If you think Barry 2.0 is annoying in The Flash, wait till you see Ezra Miller's performance in this one. So overall, Justice League is one of the worst superhero movies I have ever seen in my life. I don't need to say anything else. We all know how bad this is. And yes, I'm going to give Justice League half star out of 5. Yeah, do I need to say anything else? But thankfully, guys, we are now getting into the good Justice League movie. Now we're getting into the movie that is the complete opposite. Zack Snyder's Justice League. The true Justice League movie. So Zack Snyder's Justice League came out in the year 2021. It came out on HBO Max and was announced in sometime in 2020. I forgot which month, but it was announced in I think the summer of 2020, if I remember correctly. Oh yeah, June 2020 was when it was announced. And it pretty much stars the same cast and has the same plot. Only difference is that the runtime is much longer. So yeah, about this movie. So yeah, ever since Justice League came out, throughout all the years, people have been asking the Warner Brothers to release the Snyder Cut. The Snyder Cut. Yeah. Wait, sorry about that. But yeah, this has been, people have been on Twitter. People have been constantly using hashtag, make the release the Snyder cut, and but Warner Bros. Was very hesitant to do so. They were very hesitant to release the Snyder cut because I'm sure you all know what it is, and yeah. But when the Snyder cut was finally announced in June 2020, the world was celebrating that Zack Snyder finally got what he deserved to show us his version of Justice League. And yes, although sadly it didn't get a theatrical release, it was mostly released in HBO Max, but it didn't need it. It's fine because it's pretty obvious that it was only released in HBO Max because of the pandemic and stuff. But I wonder if this would have released in theaters if only it wasn't for COVID. But yeah, anyways, yeah, I did see it, and I gotta say, this movie is amazing. I always loved this movie ever since I first saw it. I've always adored this movie. I remember back then I called this my favorite DCU movie and one of my absolute favorite movies of all time. One of my favorite movies of all time. And I honestly was not expecting this to be a flawless masterpiece because of I thought the 4-hour runtime was going to affect this movie, but actually it didn't. But yeah, I will admit I kind of love this film less and less. And on this recent rewatch, when I rewatched this movie, I thought it was going to be, I thought it was going to be, I thought I was going to lower my rating to it, but shockingly, it still holds up very well. Yeah, it still holds up very well. Like, wow. This movie is amazing. This movie is a freaking masterpiece. And it is certainly in my top 5 favorite DCU movies of all time. So yeah, we can totally acknowledge this as the true Justice League movie. So yeah, what worked about this movie? Like pretty much everything about this movie improved from what Warner Bros. And Justice League failed to do. Like, would I say this is Snyder's magnum opus? Well, honestly, no. It's not his magnum opus. I think there are better Zack Snyder movies out there. Like, Man of Steel is still Zack Snyder's best movie. I even put Watchmen and 300 over this one. But this is certainly one of the better Zack Snyder movies. One of the better Zack Snyder movies. But yeah, like, I can't imagine a single thing that this movie does better than Justice League. Heck, I cannot imagine anyone who would ever say that Justice League is better than this one. Defend Justice League all you want, defend the Joss Whedon cut all you want, but there's no way that version is better than this one. So yeah, let's get into what I love about this. I think what works about this one is that this is actually a fleshed out movie. There is a legit story to it. There's actually a plot to it. It's not just it's about the Steppenwolf who makes mother bosses and then Justice League recruit each other to to save them. But there's actually a story to it. This feels like a character study. What makes this a 4-hour movie is that this is basically a character study on every single character. Batman has a character arc. Wonder Woman has a character arc. Aquaman too, but they literally give the most time to the least developed characters, particularly Flash and Cyborg. Cyborg especially. I mean, Cyborg got the best character development out of all. Like, literally, in Justice League, we knew nothing about Cyborg, and that's one major criticism. But here, they're able to fix They're able to actually give Cyborg something. We're actually able to understand him more. And my goodness, he has such a dark and tragic backstory where, like, basically he just came back from a hockey game and then he faced a car accident and then his father literally the reason why he's Cyborg is because the real Victor Stone died from a car accident, but then his father, a scientist, literally not refusing to let go of his son's death, literally pulled off a Frankenstein on him by reviving him and making him into a cyborg. Yeah, that is great writing right there. That is a great character development right there. And yeah, but the standout of the movie, yeah, despite Wonder Woman being my favorite DCU character hero, I said a million times, and I'm glad this movie did Wonder Woman justice. I'm glad they did her justice. But the standout of this movie has to be Superman. I mean, Superman was probably the worst character in Justice League, mainly because of mainly because of mainly because of how CGI he was, especially with the lips and stuff, and they literally turned him into a pathetic joke. But pathetic jokes. But in this one, they literally gave him the best impact of the movie. They made him like my favorite character in this movie, and I would say that Superman is my second favorite. DCU character hero, second only to Wonder Woman. Yeah. Also, yes, I now would put Henry Cavill's Superman above Sasha Calle's Supergirl. Well, I would still put Sasha Calle's Supergirl in my top 5. I'd say that I would say that when it comes to my top 5 favorite DCU heroes, I would put Sasha Calle's Supergirl above Wonder Woman. No, sorry. Above Harley Quinn. Yeah, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. Yeah. And yeah, Zack Snyder's direction is there. You can clearly see Zack Snyder's clear vision. You can clearly tell that Zack Snyder has a clear vision throughout. And this movie does feel like a Zack Snyder movie. It has a much dark tone to it. The color grading is much darker. I'll admit, I forgot to mention about the color grading in Justice League. It's one thing that makes the movie look puke-worthy. Puke-worthy. I like the aspect ratio being smaller. It actually works so well with a movie like this. Even with a movie with just lost footage, I guess they just reused the deleted footage shot, and I'm guessing they added more scenes, and yeah, the acting is much better this time around, especially Gal Gadot, especially like Gal Gadot's character. Remember in the Justice League when he was like, Kal-El, no, like yeah, very like a very cringe-worthy performance. Well, in this one, she actually had a better. Like, she actually gave better expressions. And now, like, when she said Kal-El no, she actually used bigger expressions. She actually was more emotional. And it's not as cheesy. She's like, Kal-El no. Yeah, you actually feel her getting worried about Superman. And yes, going back to Superman, there's a lot more things to rave about him. And here's actually why he's the best character of the film. Because he's the heart and emotion of the movie. Any scenes with Superman, any of the best scenes in this film has Superman involved, and it really gave me goosebumps and left me a tear. Like let's talk about my favorite scene of the film. My favorite scene in the film was when Kal-El went inside this abandoned ship. I think the one from Man of Steel, but I'm not sure. And then he hears voices, flashbacky voices of Jor-El, like pretty much telling Superman, remember who you are and all this stuff. Like basically Jor-El's lines from Man of Steel, and he's the one like pretty much trying to guide Superman to help him remember who he is and like what his sole purpose in the universe is. And then we see him like pick a suit, and then he chose the black suit. Yeah, Superman was actually supposed to wear a black suit in this film in the first place, but apparently Joss Whedon and Warner Bros. Gave him that that typical red suit for some reason. The black suit is my kind of Superman suit. It's my favorite Superman suit. It's my favorite Superman suit. And yeah, so basically, yeah, we get to see this a very similar reenactment of Superman learning to fly for the first time in Man of Steel. Yeah, that first flight scene from Man of Steel is one of my favorite scenes in any DC movie, and this one, it's almost just as good. Maybe not as good because it's shorter, but it's still amazing. Yeah, basically when we see Superman on the ground and then he's flying with the black suit, basically renewing his flight, and then we see him literally go out to space, and then we see him like open his arms up, and as we see him, look into this Earth, and my goodness, the cinematography is amazing. In fact, the cinematography in this movie is amazing as well. Every single shot in this movie, it is incredibly shot as well. Like I could tell. Yeah, you could easily tell. And yeah. What else is there to say? Oh yeah. And also the action scene. Yeah, in Justice League, the action scenes in Justice League felt so cartoony and just so basic. It feels like it's so safe. But in Zack Snyder's Justice League, the action scenes are amazing. You could actually feel the stakes in this movie. Yeah, you could actually feel the stakes in this movie. Yeah, the stakes are amazing. The action scenes are epic. They're badass, and the score. Honestly, this has one of the best scores in any comic book movie I've ever heard. Like, maybe even the best score in the entire DCU. Yeah, maybe I gave Wonder Woman too much credit for the score. I overpraised Wonder Woman's score by calling it the best score inside the DCU. No, this movie has the best score inside of the DCU. Man, it is just it is just woo. Yes, people complain about the saying like ha 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 ha. Yeah, that one. Yeah, people complain about that one, but I think it works perfectly for me. I think it absolutely worked for me. Worked for me, and yeah. And another thing that makes the action scenes have more stakes to it than it already has is how they fixed Steppenwolf. Yeah, Steppenwolf in Justice League is one of the worst comic book movies ever, and comic book villains ever, and by far the worst DCEU villain. Well, technically second worst DCEU villain, because I still stand by putting Lex Luthor as the worst DCEU villain, and he always will be, but Steppenwolf is second. Yes, I'd even take Jared Leto's Joker over Steppenwolf. But how do you turn one of the worst superhero villains into a top tier DCEU villain? How? Yeah, Steppenwolf has more depth to it. Steppenwolf, you actually understand why Steppenwolf is doing this. His CGI is way better, and it turns out that he actually isn't the real villain. The real villain of Justice League is actually Darkseid. It turns out that Steppenwolf was actually working for Darkseid this whole time. The fact that the Justice League removed the Darkseid in all of its entirety, wow, yeah, that's probably why Steppenwolf isn't like a three-dimensional villain. Well, they almost made him a three-dimensional villain, but I understand why he's not a three-dimensional villain because of the fact that he's just a slave working for Darkseid, and yeah, and speaking of Darkseid, oh boy, he is menacing as hell. He is menacing, and yeah. Oh yeah. One thing I forgot to mention as well is that there is another highlight of this film. Another amazing scene in this film was when Steppenwolf was about to kill Cyborg. Superman steps in. Steppenwolf was about to kill Cyborg. Superman steps in and stops him, and he's like, "Not yet." Something not too late, like that. I forgot what he said. And then he broke his Superman, smashed his stuff, and then literally punched him, like literally kicked the crap out of him. And then we even hear this, score like dun 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 dun. Yeah, the iconic Man of Steel score. I love how this movie brilliantly combines all the scores of all the other DCU movies and combining it to one, and even has its own flavor. That's why it has the yeah, that's great as well. And of course, we got that unexpected ending, the ending that no one expected. Another nightmare sequence. This time, yeah, much better than the one in this one, like just like the one in Batman vs Superman, but even better, darker, and more intense. Yeah, basically, Batman's like having another nightmare, and we meet a bunch of characters, and one of them who we meet is Jared Leto's Joker. And I gotta say, just with only 2 minutes of screen time with Jared Leto's Joker, he is hands down, he is honestly way better in this movie than he was in Suicide Squad 2016. And yeah. And also, you certainly won't feel the 4-hour runtime of this movie. Every single scene in this movie, there was never a boring scene throughout. There was never a scene where I got bored. Every single scene is just every single scene feels very effective and feels very worth it. So yeah. So overall, Zack Snyder's Justice League is not only an improvement from Justice League, but it is a masterpiece. It's not Zack Snyder's magnum opus, and and there are better DCU movies, and it's not even in my top 10 favorite movies of 2021. It's not even in my top 10 favorite movies of 2021. But this movie is a perfect fan service movie by giving fans what they want, giving them an incredible story of giving them an incredible story about a lot of things, by giving the characters more depth, especially with Flash and Cyborg, and Superman being at his prime, Superman being like the best he could ever be. And yes, there's so many other things you can rave about. The action scenes, the score, everything about it is flawless. Is it a perfect movie? No. But I will say that Mara and Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor, my only negatives of this movie would be those short appearances of Amber Heard's Mara and Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. But other than that, yeah, this movie is pretty much flawless. So yeah, with that said, I'm going to give Zack Snyder's Justice League 5 stars out of 5. Masterpiece. Although I will say that this is honestly one of my least favorite 5 out of 5 movies. Like one of the weakest 5 out of 5 movies. If I were to judge this movie, if this movie came out on its own without if this movie was on its own without needing the Justice League, if this movie came out in November 20, if he had this cut in the first place without having to sit through Joss Whedon's Justice League, and if only Warner Bros. Respected Zack Snyder in the first place, I honestly would have given this a 4.5 out of 5. But what makes this a 5 out of 5 film to me is pretty much how Warner Bros. Was able to listen to the fans, and after asking for a Snyder cut, and the Snyder fans got exactly what we want. So also for my rant on Justice League and my review of Zack Snyder's Justice League. So yeah, what are your thoughts on both films, and which one do you like better? Well, it's pretty obvious. That Zack Snyder's Justice League is objectively better. But is there any person out there who would actually prefer the Justice League 2017 over Zack Snyder's Justice League? And if you do, explain to me why you think Justice League 2017 is better. I'd love to know. Comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for my reviews on. Stay tuned for my movie review on Chicken Run, and my review of Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget. Also, my review on Finest Kind, and my next DCE reviews I will be doing is a triple review between Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman 1984, and the Suicide Squad 2021. My Aquaman review will come at some point, but I'll be doing my Aquaman review as a solo review since I'm doing all this in preparation for Aquaman The Lost Kingdom. I think my Aquaman review should be a solo review. So yeah, anyways, bye guys.